video is sponsored by Kiwi.com. Have you ever wondered about the visionary that created the Trump family name? Or how Donald Trump became Donald Trump? How the name Trump became such a powerhouse striking debates in both American politics and businesses and that of the world? How did a German immigrant family give birth to not only the 45th President of the United States, but also the 47th? From the Documentary XXL team, we bring you the Trump legacies, a name built not just on risk, arrogance, and a family history that's as dramatic as it is ambitious, but also on how far a man can go to become the wealthiest and most powerful. A man that was capable of taking the right risk and turning it into profit, even in the wrong time. From a German immigrant chasing gold to a real estate empire that shaped New York, the Trump story is one of wealth scandals and power moves that changed the course of history. So how did it all begin? The Trump story starts far from the skyscrapers of Manhattan, but in Karlstadt, a small village in Germany, where Donald's grandparents, Friedrich and Elizabeth Trump, grew up next to each other. Friedrich Trump, who was a young barber's apprentice at the time, had bigger dreams than his hometown of Karlstadt could offer. So in 1885, and at just 16 years of age, he packed his bags, boarded a ship with a one-way ticket across the Atlantic, and arrived in New York City, seeking fortune and opportunity in the land of the free. Most importantly, Friedrich was able to escape compulsory German military service. Friedrich himself had actually been a sickly child and feared the effects of the draft. And at the time, Germans were welcomed in America, so this proved to be the best plan that would eventually be a turning point in Trump's coming generation. In New York, Friedrich wasn't just another immigrant looking for work. He was an opportunist. Chasing wealth, he moved west to Seattle and later to Canada, where he built his fortune running restaurants, bars, and, reportedly, brothels. While some saw him as a businessman, others saw a man willing to profit from anything. Whatever the case, Friedrich Trump returned to New York a rather wealthy man, his first block in what would become the Trump Empire. In 1902, Friedrich moved back to Germany and married Elizabeth, Trump's grandmother. However, when his draft dodging came to light, the couple were forced to return to America. For decades, the Trump family, including Friedrich's son Fred, denied their German heritage, claiming to be of Scandinavian origin. This ruse was maintained to avoid upsetting Jewish friends and clients. He came here from Sweden as a child, Donald Trump maintained in his co-written book, The Art of the Deal. In New York, Friedrich and Elizabeth squatted with Friedrich's sister in Morrisania, a German neighborhood in the Bronx. But even living amongst countrymen couldn't stop the feeling of homesickness. So after giving birth to their first child, a daughter also named Elizabeth, Friedrich and his little family sailed back to Germany. On reaching German shores on July 1st, 1905, the German government actually denied the family German citizenship, bringing up the fact that Friedrich had intentionally evaded the German army conscription. So, back to New York it was, again, and this time for good. Speaking of travel, if you're planning your own journey, but hopefully with fewer complications, today's sponsor, Kiwi.com, has you covered. Kiwi.com allows travelers to find and book the cheapest flights possible, combining low-cost airlines and traditional carriers to get you the best deal. Their interactive maps make planning easier, and with their guaranteed arrival, you can book with confidence. As a special offer for Documentary XXL viewers, you can use the following exclusive discounts on the screen. $20 off a purchase over $200. With the code KiwiBountyBF20, there's even more discounts. But instead of reading them all out, to make sure you secure these deals, use the links directly below this video and make sure you use the coupon codes. They'll all be posted in the video description beside the links, so just save this video and come back when you're ready to book your next flight. Kiwi.com has been featured on Business Insider, The New York Times, and even USA Today for its rapid growth and innovative booking system. So show Kiwi.com some love, test them out, and see how easy flying can be. Thanks to Kiwi.com for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the Trumps. Unfortunately for Friedrich Trump, there was no Kiwi.com in 1905. No discounts, no easy bookings, just rejection from Germany and a forced return to the country he had once tried to leave behind. In their new home in the Bronx, the Trumps had 3 children: Frederick, aka Fred, the middle child, and John George. Fred, however, who also eventually became Donald Trump's father, was the most successful of his siblings. But long before the Trump family struck it rich, Friedrich Trump, Donald's ambitious grandfather, was only one of the many hustlers in Lower Manhattan with his modest barbershop. Serving well-to-do clients from the high-rises of Wall Street, Friedrich got a first-hand look at wealth, and he wasn't content with just trimming the hair of the rich. So, hungry for more, he set his sights on power and prosperity. In September 1908, he took a bold step by investing in his first property, a modest 2-story home in Woodhaven, a neighborhood in Queens, then known as Quince. To boost his income even further, he managed a German-owned Medallion Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, though this property doesn't exist anymore since it's been replaced by a parking lot. Soon after this, the entire Trump family relocated to Queens to be near Friedrich's growing real estate interests. Yet, like many German immigrants of that era, Friedrich and his family still had to weather the harsh winds of anti-immigrant sentiment in America, especially after the aftermath of World War I. Fast forward to 1918, when the Spanish flu broke out in America. Amid the chaos, the Trump family suffered a profound loss. While out for a walk in Queens, Friedrich Trump, who had already begun laying the groundwork for the family's future, suddenly fell ill. Within a day, he succumbed to the illness, becoming one of the early victims of the pandemic that would go on to claim millions of lives worldwide. This tragedy left a young Fred Trump, then just 12 years old, witnessing firsthand the harsh realities of a world rocked by disease and loss. At the time of his death, Friedrich Trump's net worth was about a sum that is calculated to be about $510,000 in today's money. Following Friedrich's death, his wife Elizabeth in the years to come, along with his son Fred Trump, continued his real estate work under the name Elizabeth Trump & Son, turning it into a flourishing business. Being born in the Bronx in 1905 meant that Fred grew up witnessing the rapid changes of early 20th century America. And unlike his father, Fred didn't chase gold. He built with it. At the age of 10, Trump worked as a delivery boy for a butcher, and by the time he was in his early 20s, while the Great Depression was crippling millions, Fred was already on his way to becoming one of New York City's most successful young businessmen. With a sharp eye for real estate and an even sharper instinct for opportunity, he built a fortune and turned a modest real estate business into a massive housing empire, constructing thousands of homes and apartment buildings across New York. Starting small from 1918 to 1923, Fred attended Richmond Hill High School in Queens, while working as a cabbie, curb whitewasher, delivery boy, and newspaper hawker. Fred's first real test came when a neighbor asked him to build a garage, because while most kids his age were thinking about sports or school dances, Fred was thinking about construction. He took night classes in carpentry and blueprint reading, and even studied plumbing and masonry through mail-order courses. By the time he graduated in 1923, he was pulling lumber at construction sites, learning the trade from the ground up. But here's where things get interesting. Since Fred was too young to legally own one, his mother, Elizabeth, held the family business in her name, which included the inheritance from Friedrich. In 1924, at just 19 years old, Fred Trump used an $800 loan from her to build and sell his first house in Queens. By the time he turned 21, he had already built at least 20 homes. He was moving fast. But just like every other calm sea, waves were bound to break. On October 29, 1929, the United States stock market crashed, an event which eventually became known as Black Tuesday. This event laid the groundwork for the Great Depression, lasting till the early 1940s. This collapse wiped out millions of investors, leading to bank failures, mass unemployment, and a sharp decline in industrial production and global trade. The crisis was made worse by factors such as high debt levels, weak banking systems, overproduction in industries like farming and manufacturing, and poor government policies, including high tariffs that restricted international trade. Unemployment soared to 25%, and many families lost their homes and savings. But as the Great Depression loomed, Fred saw opportunity where others saw despair. He acquired foreclosed properties, built homes using newly established federal loan programs, and flipped houses at a rapid pace. By 1938, he had already been dubbed the Henry Ford of home building. But Fred wasn't just a businessman, he was a marketing genius. To make his business stand out amidst the thousands of crumbling businesses during this period, Fred adopted the use of floating advertisement. To put it in simple terms, Fred Trump used boats off the Coney Island shore to blast patriotic music while dropping swordfish-shaped balloons. If you grabbed one, you'd get up to $250 off a new home. This genius idea proved to be not just a gimmick, it was a masterclass in sales, and it worked. Fred Trump was dubbed the Henry Ford of the home building industry by the Brooklyn Daily Eagle in 1938. He even made the prediction that he would benefit from World War II during this time, and successfully used FHA monies to construct 2,000 houses in Brooklyn by 1942. Prior to these, Fred Trump met Mary Ann MacLeod, a Scottish immigrant from Tong Lewis, a woman who would eventually become his wife. Legend even has it, after meeting her at a dance party, he confidently told his mother that he had met his future wife. True to his word, they married in 1936 at the Madison Avenue Presbyterian Church, followed by a reception at the Carlisle Hotel and a brief honeymoon in Atlantic City. Settling in Jamaica, Queens, the couple built a family, 5 children, Mary Ann, named after her mother, born 1937, Fred Jr., born 1938, Elizabeth, born 1942, the future 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, born 1946, and Robert, born 1948. Mary Ann's final birth led to an emergency hysterectomy, which Mary Ann barely survived. As Fred's real estate empire expanded, so did their home. In the 1950s, they moved into a 23-room mansion in Jamaica Estates, where they remained for the rest of their lives. Fred took his real estate empire to the next level, securing massive government contracts to build housing for military personnel in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and beyond. By 1944, he had constructed over 1,300 wartime apartments. And after the war, as thousands of soldiers returned home looking for a fresh start, Fred was already ahead of the game. He shifted his focus to building middle-class housing, creating entire neighborhoods for veterans and their families. But in spite of these, Fred Trump, aware of the growing anti-German sentiment, began distancing himself from his German roots. He claimed Swedish ancestry, a narrative later echoed by Donald Trump. Despite his German accent, he denied speaking the language and instead immersed himself in New York's Jewish community, even forming a friendship with a young Benjamin Netanyahu, who would later become Israel's prime minister. In the late 1940s and early 50s, it was obvious at this point that Fred Trump wasn't just building homes, he was shaping communities. His massive projects like the Beach Haven and Shore Haven apartment complexes provided thousands of affordable homes, thanks in part to federal funding. But with that success also came controversy. Many of these programs had discriminatory policies, and years later, Fred's business practices would land him in hot water. By the 1970s, Fred Trump's empire started facing scrutiny for allegedly refusing to rent to black tenants. The case even caught the attention of the US Justice Department. While Fred denied any wrongdoing, the lawsuit was one of the first major legal battles tied to the Trump name. But despite the allegations, Fred's success was undeniable. By 1985, he was awarded the prestigious Horatio Alger Award, celebrating his journey from humble beginnings to multi-millionaire status. His secret? Follow the right people, stay enthusiastic, and never chase an empty wagon, he once said. Whether those words were truly his, or a Shakespearean misquote, is still up for debate. Fred Trump wasn't just a real estate mogul, he was the blueprint for everything his son, Donald Trump, would become. From his relentless ambition to his unshakable confidence, the foundation of the Trump legacy was laid long before the world knew the name Donald. And as history has shown, the impact of Fred Trump's empire didn't end with him. It was just the beginning. But the mind-boggling question is why Donald was chosen as Fred's successor instead of his elder brother, Fred Trump Jr. Well, Fred Trump had grand expectations for his eldest son, Fred Jr. In 1966, Fred Jr. was listed in newspapers as vice president of the company, but he had a difficult time working with his father. Fred Jr. eventually left the company to pursue his dream of being a pilot, quickly being accepted at Transworld Airlines, which created tension with his father. Fred Jr. was ridiculed and sidelined. Instead, Fred turned to his next son, Donald, grooming him to be ruthless in business, repeatedly telling him, "You are a king." And a king he turned out to be. Both Fred Sr. and Donald mocked him for his decision to become an airline pilot, comparing it to being a bus driver or chauffeur. But the pressure and constant discrimination came at a cost. Fred Jr. struggled with alcoholism, a battle he ultimately lost in 1981 at just 42 years old. His death left a lasting impact on Donald Trump, who would later cite it as the reason he never drank alcohol. Eventually, in 2019, Donald Trump said about his brother's death, "I do regret having put pressure on him as running the family business was just something he was never going to want. It was just not his thing." I think the mistake that we, Donald and Fred Sr. made was we assumed that everybody would like it, running the business. That would be the biggest mistake. What he loved doing was flying airplanes. In 1975, tenants in 2 of Trump's Norfolk Tower complexes launched a month-long rent strike, citing rodent and insect infestations, water heating problems, and faulty elevators. The following year, Fred was ordered to fix code violations in a 504-unit property in Seat Pleasant, Maryland. When he visited the property for an inspection, he was arrested on-site and later released on $1,000 bail. As the Trump empire grew, Fred's financial dealings became more complex. In 1987, when Donald's loan debt to his father exceeded $11 million, Fred invested $15.5 million in Trump Palace condominiums, later selling the shares to Donald for just $10,000, raising serious tax evasion concerns. In another controversial move, Fred sent a bookkeeper to buy $3.5 million in casino chips at Trump's castle in Atlantic City, an act deemed an illegal loan by regulators. In the early 1990s, Fred and Donald created a subsidiary company to funnel wealth to the Trump children while avoiding taxes. The scheme involved overcharging Fred for maintenance services, a practice later exposed by the New York Times. Despite these legal battles, Fred continued to build his legacy. But as Fred aged, his health declined, and by the early 1990s, he was already diagnosed with Alzheimer's, with reports indicating severe memory loss. In a quick move, Donald attempted to alter his father's will in 1990, seeking greater control over the estate, but Fred refused. By the time of his death in 1999, his estate was valued between $250 to $300 million. However, legal disputes erupted as Fred Jr.'s children contested the will, citing his cognitive decline and alleging fraud. After Fred Trump's death in 1999, control over his vast real estate empire was divided among his surviving children: Donald, Mary Ann, Robert, and Elizabeth Trump. However, Donald Trump was the most publicly visible figure and took the lead in expanding the family's brand. Although Fred's real estate empire was largely focused on low- and middle-income housing, Donald had already steered the family name toward high-end luxury developments, casinos, and branding deals. Many of Fred's properties were eventually sold off, with Donald reinvesting in ventures like Trump Tower, the Atlantic City casinos, and international real estate projects. Donald's younger brother, Robert Trump, also played a role in managing parts of the family's real estate assets, but he preferred to operate behind the scenes rather than in the public eye. Their sister, Mary Ann Trump Barry, was a federal judge and not directly involved in the business, although she benefited financially from the estate. Elizabeth Trump Grau, the least publicly known sibling, also stayed out of real estate and pursued a career in banking. In 2004, the remaining Trump family apartment holdings were sold for $600 million to an investment group, effectively dissolving much of the original Elizabeth Trump and Son business. By this time, the Trump Organization, under Donald's leadership, had become the dominant family enterprise, focusing on branding, luxury properties, and high-profile deals that extended the Trump name far beyond its original roots in Queens real estate. Back in 1977, Donald had married Ivana Trump, a Czech model and businesswoman. Together, they had 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, who would later become key figures in the Trump Organization. However, their marriage ended in a highly publicized divorce in 1992. So, unlike his grandfather and father, Donald remarried twice. First to Marla Maples, with whom he had daughter Tiffany, and later to Melania Trump, who became the First Lady of the United States. Their son, Barron Trump, was born in 2006. Well, the real question in most minds would be how Trump got into politics, despite having a mostly business background. The truth is, Donald Trump's entry into politics was a gradual process that spanned decades. Even before formally running for office, Trump was politically active in the 1980s and 1990s. He made large donations to both Democratic and Republican politicians, often supporting whoever he believed could benefit his business interests. He built relationships with prominent figures like the Clintons and the Bush family, while also publicly flirting with the idea of running for office. In 1987, Trump registered as a Republican and took out full-page newspaper ads criticizing US foreign policy, particularly in relation to Japan and the Persian Gulf. By 1999, he briefly joined the Reform Party and considered running for president in the 2000 election, but ultimately dropped out. During the 2000s, Trump continued making political statements, but remained primarily a media personality and businessman. His role as the host of The Apprentice, 2004 to 2015, significantly boosted his public image, making him a household name across America. Trump eventually gained major political attention. In 2011, when he became one of the leading voices in the birther movement, falsely claiming that Barack Obama was not born in the United States. This conspiracy theory endeared him to conservative voters and increased speculation about a presidential run. Finally, after long decades of rumors, Donald Trump announced his candidacy for president as a Republican.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States.
In June 2015. His campaign centered on nationalism, immigration restrictions, and economic populism, with his slogan, "Make America Great Again," MAGA, becoming a rallying cry for his supporters. Despite early skepticism from political experts, Trump dominated the Republican primaries by appealing to working-class voters and using his celebrity status to outmaneuver traditional politicians. His unapologetic and unfiltered use of social media and outsider image helped him win the Republican nomination, defeating well-established politicians like Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio. In the 2016 general election, he faced Hillary Clinton, running a campaign based on economic protectionism, border security, and opposition to political elites. Despite losing the popular vote, Trump won the Electoral College and became the 45th President of the United States on January 20th, 2017. This presidency lasted from 2017 to 2021, marked by huge amounts of scandals, economic policies, judicial appointments, and even an impeachment trial. In 2020, he ran for re-election, but lost to Joe Biden in a heated race that ended in January 6, 2021, after he claimed the election was rigged, manipulated, and stolen. Now, 4 years after his presidency in 2025, Donald Trump is now once again President of the United States, becoming the 47th in office. From humble beginnings to a family dynasty, the Trump name has left a lasting mark on American business and politics. But at the root of it all was Fred Trump, a man who built an empire, shaped a legacy, and passed it down to the next generation. His story is one of ambition, resilience, and the American dream. It's been proven that Fred Trump wasn't just a real estate mogul. He was the blueprint for everything his son, Donald Trump, would become. From his relentless ambition to his unshakable confidence, the foundation of the Trump legacy was laid long before the world knew the name Donald. And as history has shown, the impact of Fred Trump's empire didn't end with him. It was just the beginning. As we approach the end, do not forget to leave us a like or comment below, letting us know what topics, families, people, or issues you'd love to see us make documentaries about. We really listen to your requests. Last but not the least, make sure you book your next flight with Kiwi.com, using the link in the description below to register for an account, pay, and make sure you save yourself some money whilst getting yourself a good discount. From the Documentary XXL team, we love you, subscribe, and make sure you turn on post notifications. I'll see you in the next one.